Thanks. I think Leah will bring up the slides. To start out with, I just wanted to say that, I've been in the U.S., I did stuff for like over 15 years doing similar stuff with camps and things like that. And to every camp, it's never been convenient, right? Everything breaks at work when I go, every single time. And what I've learned is that life is really a spiritual battle. It always is. And anytime I want to do something good, I've come to expect something from Satan to counter it. Now, if you're not going to be effective, you don't have to worry. Satan's very limited, right? He only picks people that are going to harm what he wants to do. But if you are going to be effective, be ready, because Satan will come up and start doing different things and start throwing stuff in there. But the good news is, if you know that's coming, then I just expect and I go, you know what? I also know that by the time this next week is over, everything will be okay, right? Because it always is. So you have to think in the long term. So I'm going to go ahead and start, and then Debbie will come up. So the thing was called, it's a lighthouse. It was Vacation Bible School, and it was called Let It Shine. And so this was kind of started originally before the big typhoon. But those of you that don't know, when the typhoon came, we talked to several people. There's a guy there named Leo, and he told me his experience. Let me just share that while Deb's coming up. They have a lot of typhoons, so he's kind of like, yeah, another typhoon. They have like 30 a year. Most of them are small. They don't worry about it. About 4 in the morning, they lose their roof. Gone, right? They were like, okay, well, that's different. I don't always lose my roof. 7 in the morning, the cell phone service is gone. That almost never happens. So he knew something was up. Then he sees water coming up, and hey, that's salty water. I'm several hundred meters from the ocean, but that's salt water at my house. So he knows that something's really big, right? So he starts kind of, they kind of say a little prayer, and they're thinking about what's going on, and the water's rising. And so they have, in that area, they put little roofs so they can get to their roof if they have to as the water rises. So he can climb up really easy. His mother really can't climb. So it's a problem, right? So he's thinking, and then it comes to him, well, refrigerators float. So he basically unplugs the refrigerator, dumps everything out, puts his mother and his sister in the refrigerator, and inside the house, the refrigerator floats up to the gap where he can pull her up to the ceiling and then get her up on the roof. So talking about God providing things, I mean, to me, he's just like talking about it. I'm going like, wow, God was there, right? So anyway, so he gets her up on the roof, and then for 3 hours, chest deep in water, mother's saying, I'm just going to let go. And he's saying, Mom, we're still got our head above water. Hang on, and she did. So after that, then the water starts receding and they go down. So then on the whole thing, he was sharing that the next day, Korea and the U.S. provided a lot of services, right? So everybody's kind of like, okay, we're good. Then the government decided to centralize and everything stopped. Then people were looting and doing all kinds of stuff, and they weren't being very friendly. So the typhoon was only part of it. And then, it's kind of like piling on. So faith is always a set of steps like that, right? You sit there and it piles on, and all the people, many of the people we talked to were survivors. Well, they were all survivors of that cyclone or that typhoon. So it was really kind of interesting. And then the other thing I'll say in a second is that we spent Easter there, right? And so Friday, Saturday, and Sunday are like really special days. So there's many religious services in that area. From Buddhists, like one of the churches, the Buddhists rebuilt their roof and stuff like that, but they do the Stations of the Cross, not necessarily because you're Catholic, but because they're there. So on Friday, you could see different people going all these different stations everywhere, and that's like a really big vacation for them. And nobody works. Saturday, they worked again, and then Friday, of course, is the holy day when Jesus rises. But so that was a really interesting thing. So it was Let It Shine, and it was John 18:12. When Jesus spoke again to the people, he said, I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will never walk in darkness, but will have the light of life. So everything had to do with the light of life. So we can go to the next slide. And so this is just, it's in there. It's talking about there were several different groups. So the Lighthouse has a staff of 6 people. And then there's the Church of the Nazarene, which was our first sponsor for our first 2 days. And then the Door of Faith for the second 2 days. They were the church that sponsored it. And then Grace Taipei also sent some people, and we were part of their team. That's the bottom team. So that was a team that does it. It's an ongoing work, and the Lighthouse does other things, but in one sense, they support Grace Church when they're doing their ministry, when they do their Vacation Bible Study. Next slide. So these are just some of the people that were from the 2 different schools. So we were at San Roca Elementary School, and we were at Palit Elementary School. And let me tell you something. I'm not really used to third world children, right? When somebody it's a kindergarten or even a pre-kindergarten walks around and can go home, 400 or 500 meters, wherever they went, and then come back. My kids didn't walk around like that when I was little, right? That was kind of odd. They were just like, whoa, are we supposed to keep them here? He goes, no, they do it all the time. So, of course, one of the most precious things, we feed them at lunch, and we do the meals, and the little kids can't eat it all. So what do? Literally, like I'm taking from the big kids their stuff, and when I pass the little kids they're going like this, they're holding their food. I said, oh, okay, you want to keep it? Got it. They ran home, shared it with their family, and ran back. So that's kind of how it goes. We can do the next slide. So where is Tacloban? In the Philippines. Manila's right here. Right here is where Tacloban is, and then Tacloban is in this area. Right here is where the actual lighthouse is, and this area down here is very close to where MacArthur, I shall return. That's where he returned. And there's a big monument for it. And then the airport's right up here, and then the main city's right up here. So another story I'll share that happened at the airport. They knew that there was a storm coming, so they sent a bunch of policemen down to the airport, and they were bivouacking there. The water rose on the coastline 5 meters. Most of them drowned. So just like it's kind of similar in Taiwan. Not a lot of swimmers, right? So when the water rises, if you're not a swimmer, you have a real issue. If you can't hold to something, then you're gone. So that was kind of a sad thing that happened. They didn't even know. They all went up there, and then water came up, and they were gone. So next slide. So this is what it looks like. On the right side, you can see they're building more stuff. On the left side, it's already rebuilt, and that's where we were staying. And I have to say, it was actually like air-conditioned place, and Mama J really fixed really good food, so it was nice. So this is Pilit School. This is just looking from across the street at what the school looks like. You can go to the next one. This is an example. So what we did, there was 4 groups. So went to 6th grade, but we divided them, and you'll see different colored shirts. Red, blue, green, and purple. So this was the one right above. You can see the little ones are the kindergartners, and green is the next one, which is, I think, 1st through 2nd, 3rd through 4th, and then 5th through 6th is the purple. Yeah, blue was the first one. So this one is, it's not, I always laugh because that kind of looks like a Muslim prayer thing, but it's not. They had the first day in this one thing, they say, color my world. So what they do is they have 30 minutes to color what is important to them, like the sun and the circle and the house and stuff. So they were all drawing stuff, and it's amazing because their drawings were really kind of good and expressive, and they're very, I would say, what I would expect in America. And later on, I'll kind of show you where they live, and I'll tell you why that's really weird. Because in America, we have houses like they were drawing, but this is what they actually think about it. When they were watching it, they were very positive. So it was, they were very polite. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. If you ask for something, they would listen right away. They'd cut up with little kids and stuff. But if you say, "Oh, please don't," then they're quiet. They listen. They mind. So it was really a neat experience, right? So even though kids will be kids, this is a picture of I think of the first group of the people that we had helping from a church. So each church sent a bunch of their young kids, and they helped us do all the different, corral everybody. So they controlled the groups, while the people from here did the crafts and did gaming. So let's see, there was crafts, games, and what was the other one? Did it? What were the 4 things, Deb? The 4 things. There was crafts, games, songs. That's right. And the other thing. So they did the drawing, and the second day, one of the people from there shared their testimony with the kids. Yeah. So each one went through there, and they got to share their testimony. So this is at a local mall that we went to. That's where, a taste of home. You could buy whatever you want there. Interestingly enough, at this mall, when they had the looting problem, the army came in, and what they did was they said, okay, everybody needs stuff, but we don't want to burn down. We're going to want this place after it's dead. So they made them all line up. They could all go in the front. They had so much time. They had to come out the back. They could only carry so much stuff. So they did organized looting because it was, the thing to do. But in a way, if you think about it, that's God providing, right? Here, instead of the military, shooting people and making it, then, there's a ray of hope for people where, okay, they're going to do stuff. Next slide. Oh, we wanted to, there's a water buffalo in the back. And in the very back, it's kind of fuzzy in this picture, but you'll see little tiny tin shacks. A tin shack that's about, some of them are as big as this stage. No windows, but it's covered, right? And they have stuff they can cover the windows, but no windows or screens or anything like that. The kids that we had in our class live in those shacks. So what we did, one of the presents that you give away the first day was these whistles, which I thought, man, you must really hate their parents. You're giving these little kids whistles they're going to blow all day, and the parents are going to go insane. But the funny thing was, we went out there looking for these bulls, and it was quiet. And it was after the first day, so everybody had their whistles. And in little places all around this big field, you hear doot, doot, doot. You hear the little kids with their whistles. I'm going, oh, there's a kid. It was something I didn't expect, but there's a kid that lives there, right? I would store my rake in there. They lived there, but they're in these little houses out there. Next slide. And that's one right there. They wanted to ride a water buffalo. It's hard to see, but we were like the whole show. Once they knew we were out there, they lined up. You can see some of the people. They were like, what are they doing? They want to sit on the water buffalo. The guy was very kind. And it did rain on us a little bit. Here's where they're going to go see a movie after we finish today. This is a picture of the second school. I just took it from across the whole thing so you can kind of see how the whole thing is, how they keep it very well organized. There's like this big washing place. When you tell the kids to wash their hands, whoosh, they all run out, line up, wash their hands, and come back in, ready to eat. It's pretty amazing. And that's some of Mama Jay's cooking. And on my downtime, I'm a mechanic. I do a lot of fix, so I got to fix that thing. Then I drove Debbie around in it, so it was quite a lot of fun. This is Debbie relaxing in the evening after we're doing stuff, and that's the daughter of one of the people. So is that the same one? Okay. And then, yeah, there was in the back, everybody, what do you call it, tenant farmers? People don't own anything. So everybody lives on something, and of course the owner gets all the money, but the people live there, and they don't make very much, but they're quite happy with what they get. All of them that could speak good English would come up and talk to us. None of them were resentful. None of them were, mad about their situation. And Leo just said we were in the top 2%. Well, these people are they're not at the very bottom, but they're, as far as resources, they don't have a lot. They have stuff to eat. They have the bare minimum. And they have hope, and they have, their kids can do different things. They know education's important, and most of them have faith in God. So it's a really interesting thing to promote that. Okay, next slide. And I don't know if you guys have been there, but that's called a jeepney, and they pile in there. And I mean, I don't know if you can tell, but it's like chock full of people. There's like no room. That's how they get around. And this is just looking at it from the other side. You can see the construction. Next slide. This is one of the games, and one of the things that was interesting is once they understood what was going on, they have 3 different things they speak. English, then there's the Wari Wari, which is the local one, and then there's one other one, I forgot, something. Tagali. It's one of what, yeah. So the Wari Wari, the church members would explain it to them. They would start playing the games. And I mean, these days that we were out here like that, we had to put them in the shade because it was like really hot, direct sun. But the kids were just couldn't get enough. If you look, everybody's playing and excited and stuff. Next slide. Oh, that's when we got to the airport. That's the whole airport at Tacloban right there. And that's just an example of 2 of the groups, the blue and the I think it was the purple. That was a stage from the first one, so everything's projected when they do the songs and stuff. And that's just looking back, and along the back there is the purple group underneath the shade. They're kind of hard to see. And then the other groups were sitting out here. But what's interesting, the young lady from the lighthouse, she knew all the songs, and she could like really do. She kind of like Natalie leading us there. But it's the kids, all the motions and stuff. The participation rate was phenomenal. I mean, here's these kids, and something else that's weird. We start at 9. We get there about 8:40 to set up. What do we find? They're all there. They're all lined up. They got their shirts on. The second day, they were ready, baby. They're sitting there looking, quiet, waiting. Can't wait to get started, right? And then we start off with a few things, and then the songs start, and they just turn on and light up. And this is actually the last slide, but what's interesting, at the lighthouse, every day there's a schedule, and they like we have food left over. They do feedings, and then they have an open house, so all the locals can come in and play basketball and do different things. And what it does, it draws everybody in to the place, so that they have a lot of different services and stuff that they can provide as far as, they get into community organizations. They help with like food drives. They help with people in need and things like that. So they have a lot of stuff that they do. But this is just something, and I was amazed at how many different kids came in. And they were actually very also nice. They didn't tear up stuff. They were very polite. And they were, if you said hi, they said hi back. They were really nice. And anyway, I think, is that the last one? Yeah. So that's back at Taipei. But the thing that was really amazing is that God works, right? When you hear the stories, other people told me their stories. When the water's rising and you're not a swimmer, you got to have faith, right? In action. You got to do something. You're going to hang on to something, climb up a tree, or help you when the water's coming. And so many of those people that went through the second day after when the looting started, and if you had water, he said, you just give it to them, right? Because they're going to get it anyway. You want to get beat up and they'll get it, or you want to just give them the water. Just give them the water, right? So a lot of the people were very passive, but God provided, right? It's amazing that so many people did not die. When I heard all these stories and I looked at the territory, I was in the military, you size up a whole bunch of different things. I'm going like, man, there should have been a lot of dead people, right? With that much water, that many non-swimmers, give me a break. And then you look, and the vibrance of life. And everywhere you see these people, there's a presence of Christ. There's a lot of other churches that are there, but the central thing in there, that's kind of, to me, I could just see it. If you're a Christian, you can see it, right? That Christ is there. And the hope is there. And pulling these people in and giving them hope, these little kids that have nothing, right? They get a new shirt from us. Hey, babe, he's set for half a year, right? Got a new shirt. That's it. But he's happy, content with life. And so talk about money is the root of all evil. They have nothing, but they have happiness. And that's I guess that's the biggest thing that we learned there. It was really, they're very appreciative of the help. But they're also very needy. And all the people... in many of the different places there, the reconstruction and everything is like a family affair. Everybody kind of pitches in and does what they can, what they can when they do it. Did you want to add something, Deb? Sorry. So the whole thing is, if you get a chance to go, I would go. It was a very good experience. It's very positive and building. It's hot and cold. You saw rain and you saw the heat. You saw the different stuff. It's not that hard to schedule, but the presence, seeing what God can do in when there's a disaster, and then looking how everything's flourishing, and looking at the hearts of so many of the people that believe God, that they're positive, was a really, I guess I'd have to say humbling. Because I'm kind of like, I make good money, my job is good, I can kind of do what I want, not really, but compared to them, I can. And I don't know if I appreciate it as much as I should all the time, so. That's what I learned. Anyway, that's all I had to say about it. So if you can go.